All right, ready to dive into something pretty heavy.
Yeah, let's do it.
You sent over this article, right? By Nell Scovell.
Right.
This is what Vance really meant when he spoke about his friend's abortion.
Yep.
Just the title alone kind of makes you go, ooh, okay.
It's a bold
It
statement.
really is. So Scovell's digging into JD Vance, specifically that vice presidential debate and how he presented his stance on abortion.
Yeah, she really breaks down what she sees as some very deliberate rhetorical tactics.
Okay, so right off the bat, Scovell points to this moment where Vance talks about his friend's experience with abortion.
Right, how his friend felt like having the child would have destroyed her life, especially being in an abusive relationship.
And that's where I think a lot of people, myself included, might initially think, okay, he's trying to show some empathy here, trying to connect with women facing incredibly tough choices. But Scovell, she suggests this could be a classic sympathy play. Soften his image a bit before he launches into his actual stance, which historically has been a lot more inflexible.
Yeah, it's like he's laying a trap, almost.
Right.
Remember that statement Vance made, I think it was a while back now, where he said abortion wasn't healthcare, it was a brutal act.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's that letter he signed with a bunch of other Republicans pushing for a nationwide abortion ban, no exceptions.
See, and that's what I find so fascinating. Scovell calls out that contradiction, right? Vance, who's advocating for stricter abortion laws, now sharing this anecdote about his friend. Is this a genuine shift in his position or just a calculated way to kind of have it both ways?
It makes you question the motivation behind the words, right?
Okay.
Like, is he speaking from personal conviction or political strategy? And that's where Scovell dissects Vance's claims during the debate. For instance, he says he wants to give women more options.
Yeah, give women more options. Sounds great in theory, but what do those options really look like under the policies he supports?
Exactly.
Scovell challenges us to look beyond those vague pronouncements. It's like, where's the substance? Where's the concrete support and real choices for women?
Right, it can't just be rhetoric. And it's not the only instance where Vance seems to contradict himself. He talks about states' rights, how different states have different views on abortion, which is a common argument we hear.
Yeah.
But, and this is a big but, Scovell points out that this clashes directly with his previously stated desire for a nationwide abortion ban.
Right. And let's not forget that soundbite where he argues for a national ban, no exceptions for rape and incest. Because, as he puts it, two wrongs don't make a right. I mean, talk about a statement that reveals a whole lot more than just a stance on lawmaking.
Absolutely. You get a glimpse into the moral framework behind his perspective on abortion. He's not framing it just as a legal issue, but a matter of right and wrong, which obviously resonates with a specific segment of voters. And that's when it gets interesting, right? Yeah. Because it becomes more than just the words themselves. It's about the way it's framed, right? The values it taps into.
Okay, so we're seeing these contradictions. We're seeing this carefully chosen language. It's like Scovell's handing us a decoder ring for Vance's rhetoric. But here's what I find really fascinating. This goes way beyond just one politician or one issue.
Oh, absolutely.
This bait and switch, this appealing to emotion over concrete policy, it feels like we've seen this playbook before.
All the time. It's a pattern we see over and over in political discourse, and it's not limited to one side or the other. We see it everywhere. Emotionally charged language, the effort to create this sense of shared values, even subtle ways of undermining opposing viewpoints without really addressing them head on. It's everywhere.
Okay, so it's a playbook. So how do we, just regular people trying to navigate this crazy world, how do we actually apply this? We're bombarded with information constantly.
I think it starts with awareness. Think of it like buying a car.
Okay.
You're not going to buy a car without looking under the hood, right?
Yeah.
You want to know what you're getting.
Exactly, yeah.
It's the same with information, right? Don't just take what you hear at face value, especially when it comes from politicians.
Be a little skeptical, right?
Yes.
Do your research.
Absolutely. Ask yourself, who's presenting this information? What's their agenda? What's their angle? Are they being balanced? Are they cherry-picking facts to support their own view? Are they using emotions to sway you, or are they providing actual concrete evidence?
Become an information detective.
Yes. I love that. And don't be afraid to get your information from various sources, even sources you think you might disagree with, right?
Right.
See how different outlets are framing the same issue, right? Fact check everything. And don't shy away from those uncomfortable conversations.
It's like we're almost wired to just accept whatever sounds good on the surface.
Right?
Especially when it's, wrapped in all this emotionally charged language.
Absolutely.
But like we're seeing with Scoville's analysis, there's often a whole lot more going on underneath.
Yeah, and that's why it's crucial for us to engage in this kind of critical thinking, to
Yeah.
question our own assumptions, and to really look for something more than just those easy answers.
So I guess after diving into all of this with you, it really makes me wonder how much of what we hear from politicians, from anybody really, is actually genuine.
Right.
And how much is just carefully constructed to get us to react a certain way.
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
There's no easy answer. But I think what we can do is make sure we have the awareness and the tools to start picking apart these messages ourselves.
Right.
Become more informed and really understand the political process.
Yeah, it's not about like becoming cynical or just tuning it all out.
Right.
It's about being savvy.
Right.
For
Exactly.
understanding the game that's being played.
Yes.
So that we can then make up our own minds.
Yes, 100%. We can be engaged, we can be passionate about the things we care about, but we need to do it with our eyes open, right?
Yeah.
We have to demand more from our leaders, more honesty, more transparency, more genuine conversation.
It can't just all be rhetoric and games. Yeah, it can't. Well, on that note, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.